Hello everyone, my name is Kirti and I work for a multinational bank. And today I've come up with the topic of top technical questions which are common, which we face in our day-to-day lives, or which are asked in interviews from the project managers, from SMs, from delivery leads, from program managers, so on and so forth. So I'm very excited to be back on Career Talk after a long time and looking forward to you for the interactive good session. Please post in your questions in the comment section. Like and subscribe if you like the video. Thanks. So the first question is, how would you debug a production issue where API response time suddenly increased from 200 milliseconds to 5 seconds? Sounds common, right? But in any interview, the most important thing is to go on a structured approach. So the first thing is, the step one is to gather the data. There are various monitoring tools like Datadog or Grafana from where we can identify the exact time when the degradation started, correct? So, what are the traffic patterns? What are the error rates? What are the resource utilization? Uh, that will give us a clear picture of when exactly the timestamp uh, of the issue began. The next thing is to correlate it with the changes. So the any recent deployments, any new features which has gone in, anything new, maybe not deployed in last week, but deployed earlier, but has been, it was tech live, but now it's business live. So are there any traffic spikes which have happened after that? So these kind of questions we need to ask from the team to ensure that it's promptly looked at from all the angles. The third thing is to investigation which layer the issue is. Now there can be application, database, there can be network, there can be other dependencies on a third party tool or a third party API. So are the downstreams up or not? Are there any locking queries, or there are there any interlocks, between one table is just being uh, the commit has not been done and the table is still on the update mode and the other is trying to update it. So those kind of interlocks, right? Other connection pool settings, utilizations proper. So these are the investigation layers which we need to look at. Are there any network packets being lost? So which verify whether DNS resolution times or not. So these are the things which usually happens, which we need to take care. The common culprits can be the database queries, the connection pool, the external APIs. We have discussed all of it. The most important thing as a PM or as a person owning the entire program delivery or uh, change, you have to keep the communication going if it's a P1 production issue, or if it's something which blocking, then the stakeholders needs to be updated every 15 minutes about the incidents happening, right? So to correlate with it, we had one issue where the database connection pool got just exhausted because the marketing team had launched a new um, kind of feature testing where the hits were just abnormally high, due to which the APIs were very, very slow in their responses. And so as a part-time solution, we just added more connection pool to the settings, but um then scalability was also implemented. Moving on to the next question. What happens in a CI/CD pipeline from code commit to production? Now, here the interviewer is not looking for tool names, but they are looking for to see how the end-to-end clarity you have as a person joining the team. So the first step is the developer commits the code. Obviously, a PR is raised and the developer commits. The CI triggers builds and automated test. The code quality and security scan runs. Artifact is generated and stored. Deployment happens to staging. Final validations and production release ready. Right. Now, there can be other integration testing steps which are done manually by many teams in UAT, and then once it is signed off, then it moves to the release branches for the production release. Now, here as a TPM, what I ensure is failures are fast and visible, rollbacks are automated, and each stage has a clear owner. Now, this is very important to ensure that what the where the failure is and how quickly we can solve it. So calling out a clear owner for each step is very important. So the next question is, what is an API and how do you manage API dependencies as a TPM, Scrum Master, whichever team? So an API is a contract. So basically when two systems communicate, they sign contracts. Like how we sign contracts, right? It's a very simple term, but we API is a contract that allows and builds the rule how they will communicate with each other. So there can be fixed number of parameters or values which is acceptable, not acceptable, and this is how they communicate among themselves, like the two systems, right? So my focus areas are always the API contracts are clear and freezed, because a change later in the cycle would definitely um, make a lot of rework happening for the same development. Which schema, which versioning are we using? Is it version 1.2, 2.1, whatever it is? What is the SLA? If I'm connecting to an API, there has to be an SLA by which it has to respond me back, right? If there is an SLA, not an SLA, if it is um, like the ACK, NACS, how are we going to get it? So all those basically definitions. The next is backward compatibility, whether any new, like let's say suppose API would come and then it would break all of the systems which are on the older API. That should never be the case unless declared. So that is what is the next thing which I definitely check. The next is dependency and risk management. So which team is delivering when? That is most important. And by when, so let's say suppose if there's a team which is going to deliver, both have a same deadline to production, to UAT, right? But team A is dependent on team B, and team B is going to take 6 weeks to build an API. So what we provision is we ensure that the mock APIs are available early, so that the team B can also start with the work, right? Then change requires work, so team A can also start the work, sorry. uh, what changes require versioning? Not, there should not be breaking updates. We define latency and availability SLAs, and in one case, an unannounced API change basically broke the entire downstream system in production, and that was a P1. So we quickly reverted those changes, and then it was made sure that there are no breaking changes happening with future releases. Also, there was a kind of a negative testing which was done in such scenarios where one team is going ahead with the changes, but other are still on the lower version of the API. So, so it's a contract. So it will definitely create an outage. So we definitely need to be very, very cautious when we are working with uh, the API systems. So the next question is, what is difference between REST and GraphQL, and how do you decide which one to use? Now, they want a decision-making ability, not your deep coding knowledge here, right? So REST and GraphQL are both API paradigms, but they optimize different needs. Okay, so REST is resource-based, which is simple, widely adopted. GraphQL allows clients to fetch the data that they actually need, right? As a TPM, my agenda is always to align what decision needs to be done to the use case it is going to solve, right? So for example, for internal microservices, right, REST works well due to its simplicity and caching but for a front-end heavy application with frequent UI changes, GraphQL reduced over fetching and improved the performance. So it's not about which one uh, we should be using. It should be based on the use case, and also the decision is driven by the team maturity, the monitoring complexity, the long-term maintenance cost, and that's how I balance innovation with stability. So the next question is, how do you handle failures in production from a TPM standpoint? So my three aim or goal always when a production incident happen is, and due to the changes what we have built as a program, is mitigation. First, we need to restore the services as quickly as possible. Communication, keep the stakeholders informed, and prevention, ensure it doesn't repeat in future. So so when we were doing a release, right, there was a latency spike due to an unoptimized API call. We rolled back within 10 minutes, like with the steps what I have already discussed in my previous slides. Then we communicated the impact and ETA. to everybody involved. We conducted a blameless postmortem, and with that, the outcome was we added performance tests in CI, we defined latency budgets, we updated release readiness checklist. The key is learning at the system level, not blaming individuals, right? We always have to remember this whenever we are doing those retrospectives. So incidents are not failures, actually. It's unmanaged incidents are. So manage it well, and there always will be a new learning with every incident we get. Thank you very much.